Good for letting me know. You didn't tell me before.
Yeah, I kept forgetting.
Okay. So we'll just do the pranam prayers. Om Jnana-timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshunmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Guruve Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Utapada Kamalam Sri Gurun Vaisnavamsta Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadhvetam Sarvadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Ladita Shri Vishakanvitamsta He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute He Tapta Kanchana Gorange Radhe Vrindavanishware Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Panamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpa Taruviyascha Kripa Sindhu Vahevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jayo Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Sivasri Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So my respectful greetings to all the devotees. Because I'm not in my usual location, the lighting is not so perfect. So as it fluctuates, I may get darker, lighter, but I apologize for that. The last time we spoke, I was in the throes of moving, and I've now moved location. So I'm still settling in. So I have not had so much time to prepare this class. But on the last class, I don't know if the devotee is there, if Priti is on this class, but in the questions and answers, she made me realize and made us realize that she didn't have complete faith in Lord Krishna. So I prepared this class with her in mind as a beginning of the process for her to get to understand that faith and Lord Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So this class is actually to be continued, but it's aimed at her. So I don't know if she's on the class, but Nabi said they recorded. So it may be that, is she on the class?
Yes, Prabhu, I'm here.
Very good, Priti, I'm very glad. So that this is aimed primarily at giving you a little boost and encouragement. And then there's going to be a short class because I haven't had so much time to do all the full preparation. So there'll be plenty of time for questions. And I would encourage everyone to ask your questions. It's not just so much that I am such an expert, but there's a panel of us. I see this class as a panel. Nabi, Jayanti, devotees with over 30 years of experience. Although I'm the principal speaker on this occasion, the panel of advanced and also mature devotees is a very big panel. I think Madhusudan is on this call as well, which means that there's enough devotees. If I cannot fully answer the question, there's enough devotees who can actually add to it or maybe give even a more complete answer. But questions are important because without asking the questions, your doubts will not be clarified. And without doubt, then your faith will not be so strong. So it's important. So going on then is that Lord Shri Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And it is accepted from all authorities. But let us look at who the authorities are. First of all, we have Srimad Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavat Puran is accepted within the Vaishnava community as the spotless Puran. It is the most complete and pure, and it is called the ripened fruit of Vedic knowledge. The Vedic knowledge is complete, but Srimad Bhagavatam is the sweetest aspect of Vedic knowledge. And in Srimad Bhagavatam, it starts, the very first shloka of Srimad Bhagavatam. It says, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Janmadi asyayato anvayat itaritash chahatweshu abhigyana swarat tene brahma hridaya adikavaye muyanti yat suryaha tejo vari midam yata vinimayo yatra trisago amrisha dharmna swena sada nirasta kuakam satyam param dhimahi. You know, this is very beautiful. The translation is, and is several slides. O my Lord Shri Krishna, O Son of Vasudev, O all-pervading personality of Godhead, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. I meditate upon Lord Shri Krishna because he is the absolute truth and the primeval cause of all causes of the creation, sustenance, and destruction of the manifested universes. Not one universe, universes. And there are countless universes. He is directly and indirectly conscious of all manifestation. He's independent because there's no other cause beyond him. It is he who only first imparted Vedic knowledge in the heart of Brahmaji, the original living being. So many key words within this, and I've highlighted some of the key words. He's the independent, you know, he's the cause of everything, and there's no other cause beyond him. You know, for the Western devotees who don't have access to Vedic literature, one of the big stumbling blocks, not only for Western devotees, but maybe even for Bharatiya Indian devotees, is that the question that creates problem for them is that, well, okay, I know I come from my mother and my father, and I know their parents and their parents, but if there is a God, who created him? And for the Western mind is a very, very big obstacle to overcome, to accept and surrender to the fact that, no, there is a supreme person. God means no one created him. God means he's the beginning. He's the source of everything. And everything else comes from him. I can tell you, for the Western mind, that's a very big obstacle because it requires you to surrender. And for the Western mind, that surrender is not so easy. Also for the Bharatiya mind, you know, for the person who is not fully surrendered, but we simply have to accept. You know, Srila Prabhupada often says, and in some of his lectures, is that if a child has got doubts about, you know, his father, you know, he simply has to ask the mother. The mother will know, and he has to accept the word of the mother. Because he cannot, by experiment, find out who is my father. Oh, he looks like me. Maybe, you know, he walks like me. I'm tall, he's tall. You can't do that kind of experimentation. You have to go by authority. The mother knows, yes, that's your father. So similarly, there must be an acceptance and a surrender of the authority. The mother is the authority. So if she speaks, yes, that is your father, you have to accept. Experimental knowledge will not help in that case. So similarly, in this case, you know, for us, the devotee, we have to accept on the authority of Vedic literature. And Srimad Bhagavatam is the highest, purest Vedic literature. And it is saying Sri Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead. He's the cause of everything. By him, even the greatest sages and demigods are placed into illusion. So not only are we, very small human beings, confused about his position, confused about our position, confused about the vast cosmos, even confused about this whole planet. We're very confused about several things. I'm confused of how a prime minister by the name of, what's his name? The one in America? I'm confused how he can actually behave like that. I'm confused how, you know, so many companies, the pharmaceutical companies, they're making so many millions, but some of their products are harmful for health rather than good for health, but yet they continue. So there's so many things that we're confused about in life. But the main thing is that Lord Sri Krishna, even the greatest devotees, superior to us in their position, they're also put into illusion. You know, can anybody give me an example of two very big devotees who were illusioned about Lord Krishna? They couldn't understand his position. One was taking place, actually both were taking place in Vrindavan. Can somebody say? Is anybody out there? Can anybody hear me? I'm asking for 2 examples or 1 example of big devotees who were put into illusion. They couldn't understand who Lord Krishna was when he was acting out his pastime.
Balaram. I'm
Balaram
sorry,
was
Lord.
what?
Sorry, not Balaram. Lord Brahma.
Yes, please tell the story as much as you know it.
He was unsure whether this little boy was the Lord, because he was going around. Krishna was going around playing with the friends, licking buttermilk off his friend's arm, and stuff like that, or his own arm. So he just thought it couldn't be him. So he decided, let me see, let me test him. And so for a whole year, he kind of disappeared the boys and calves.
Right.
And then he found out that the parents weren't missing the calves, and the Gomatas weren't missing their calves, because Krishna had taken their place. Yeah, expanded.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Thank you very much. Very nice Leela. And that Leela can be told and expanded in so many ways, you know, because there's so much detail in there. But the main thing is that Lord Brahma, who is Lord Brahma? Lord Brahma is the first created, you know, living entity. And I'm going to speak about him in a little while, because he's the first created living entity. He's the most superior of all living entities. He's the most educated of all living entities. You know, he's the most enlightened. He's the most senior. Let's hear what he has to say in a moment. But for now, even the most senior created being could not understand the position of Lord Krishna. Because he was acting out his pastime so perfectly, which he always does. He plays the role completely perfectly. Lord Brahma was illusion. But he said, let me test it. Let me test out if he's the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Okay, I'm going to take him away just for a few moments. It was just a few moments as far as Brahma's time frame was concerned, but it became a whole year as far as the Leela in Vrindavan was concerned, an earth pastime, okay? But the Lord, in order to maintain his position and to satisfy the parents and to satisfy the cows and the calves, you know, the cows, mother cows, he expanded himself. So he's demonstrating. And you hear Lord Brahma will say how he maintained his medium-sized body. In the beginning, I couldn't understand what it meant. He maintains his medium-sized body. He's a supreme person. He's the source of everything. And yet he maintains this medium-sized body as if he's an ordinary human being. But inside this body, as we will see by Mother Yashoda, when she was told, Krishna is eating dirt. But what did he do? He said, Mother Yashoda went to him and says, open your mouth. I understand you're eating dirt. And what did Mother Yashoda see when Lord Krishna opened his mouth? He saw the whole universe, including herself there. So the Lord is maintaining his medium-sized body, but he's the source of everything. He's always the source of everything, but yet he maintains himself in that way, simply to enact his pastimes. So when Lord Brahma couldn't understand, and Lord Brahma took the calves and the boys just for a little while, Lord Krishna maintained. He expanded himself and became the other cowherd boys, became the calves, and maintained them for one whole year until Lord Brahma came back. And when Lord Brahma came back and realized what he had done, he didn't just say, oh, and he went to Lord Krishna and he apologized and said the most beautiful prayers in glorification of the Lord. And those prayers are worthy for us to actually hear and recite and remember, you know, what Lord Brahma is saying. But the point is to remember who Lord Brahma is. The first created being, the most intelligent, and the most senior of the Lord's devotees. In that way. So even Lord Shiva, you know, and there's another famous story before I move on. There's another very big devotee, again Vrindavan Leela, who became really, not only Lord Brahma was praying mischief in a little bit to try and find out, but this person wasn't at all humbly trying to find out. This person actually was in an angry mood. Can anybody tell me that Leela?
It was Indra.
Please say, if you know the Leela, tell us the Leela.
The Leela is this. Krishna Krishna's father was going to do worship of Indra to say thank you for all the rains and all the sacrifices and everything.
Yes.
Krishna turned around and said, "Hey, this is not a good idea. I don't agree with this, and it should be Govardhan hill that should be worshipped."
Yes.
And this there was a little bit of toing and froing because the father Nanda Maharaj didn't agree. Eventually, he agreed to Krishna. I think everybody, in the end of the day, does. And then Krishna went, and then Indra got very angry when they realized that the puja was going to start of Govardhan hill, and he unleashed rain, everything, thunder, lightning, and Krishna picked up with his little finger, left little finger, the whole Govardhan hill, and all Brajvasis went underneath with their sticks, holding it up as well, helping, and it was for a whole week. So
Right.
this is the lovely, beautiful pastime.
Beautiful pastime. Thank you very much, Prabhuji. But the whole thing is that Lord Indra became angry. You know, he became really, really angry. Who do they think they are? You know, they always worship me. Now they're listening to that talkative boy. You know, now because of that talkative boy, okay, go and punish him. He didn't just send ordinary rain clouds. He sent the Samantyaka clouds, Samvatak clouds. These are the ones that pour water. It is said in Srimad Bhagavatam and in Krishna book, the water that they were pouring were like pillars coming down. Because when there is devastation and the universe is to be finished, partially or full devastation, these are the clouds that can actually fill up the whole place with water. He sent those clouds. They refused to go. And he said, no, you go and punish them. And they were raining, hail, and everything was there. So in an angry mood, he came. And then when he tried everything and was throwing his lightning bolts and no effect, he realized, because he's devotee of the Lord, he's a very big person, king of heaven, you know, king of the demigods is a very big title. Devtas are very advanced devotees. They're very senior devotees, and they're actually surrendered devotees. So here the point is, when they're put into illusion, even demigods are placed into illusion. He couldn't understand who Lord Krishna was because his pastime was being perfectly enacted. But when he realized, my power is given by the Lord, is irresistible. The word is said in Srimad Bhagavatam, irresistible, which means no one and nothing can resist his power. But yet it's like nothing. It's having no effect. Then he realized. He realized, no, this must be something beyond my, it's not something ordinary. This is something extraordinary. And then he came. And again, like Lord Brahma, he offered his prayers to the Lord. Very sweet prayers as well. And in this way, Sarabhi Mataji came. Guru Maharaj used to like to speak when Sarabhi Mata came and also offered Lord Krishna her sincere thanks for protecting all the Go Matas. And I think it was Sarabhi Mataji and Nabi and Madhusudan, please add to it. It was Sarabhi Mata who then gave Lord Krishna the name Gopal. So please, if I can add to that confirmation, if you have that knowledge. But in that way, Lord Indra couldn't understand who Lord Krishna was and was playing mischief in his angry mood, and he was completely frustrated. In the end, he had to surrender and come and offer his obeisances and realize that this was the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Yes,
So,
that's a very nice pastime. When Indra came, Krishna wouldn't accept his apology because Krishna said to Indra, you tried to kill my family, the Brajvasis. How can I forgive you? But Indra was very clever because he actually had brought Surabhi Gomata, as you said. And Surabhi then petitioned Krishna that please do forgive him. And Krishna loves, as we know, Gomata, especially Surabhi. So he forgave, and that's when she gave him, as you very correctly said, the name of Govinda, actually. Govinda.
Okay.
Very good.
So the point I was trying to make in all of that is that even great sages and demigods are placed into illusion, even the most senior. So what about us then? If we can't work it out straight away, if we get confused, if we get bewildered, it's only to be accepted. So therefore, someone like yourself, Preeti, or for others, there's many others who are from different, as a Western culture. Within Western culture, the philosophy is very shallow. It doesn't go very deep. And when you start to hear about these personalities and the depth of Vedic culture, it seems like an ocean, and it's very hard to get hold of it. So therefore, in the beginning, we're going to be confused. But what we have to do is surrender to the process and to accept he is a supreme personality of Godhead. Only because of him do the material universes temporarily manifested by the reactions of the mode of nature appear factual, although they are unreal. Srila Prabhupada explains again, we don't play games as Vaishnavas about saying things are unreal when they're there. What he means, Srila Prabhupada elsewhere in the purport, he says when he says they're unreal, it doesn't mean they're not manifesting. It means that the unreal means they're temporary, whereas spiritual is permanent. There are 5 factors that will designate anything that is material. Anything that is material, whether it be us, an insect, or the universe, it has 5 features. What are those features? 5, I think it's 5. Anyway, I'll count and we'll see. It has a beginning. It comes into being, what's called birth. It grows and develops. It reaches a point of maturity. It produces some offsprings, and then it dwindles and then disappears. Anything material will have these symptoms. But that which is spiritual has only got one symptom. What is it? It always was, always will be. So because of that, when Srila Prabhupada uses the word unreal, when Srimad Bhagavatam uses the word unreal, it doesn't mean that the material universe is not there and you're seeing something that's an illusion. No, unreal means it's not permanent. It's there for a while, then it will disappear. The Lord creates it and he will wind it up. That's what the unreal means. So that, all the manifested universes, and there are countless billions of them, they're only manifesting because of him. And I've said before, and I gave the class on Friday, and the reason why these manifested universes are there, because transcendental knowledge is very, very important. Without transcendental knowledge, we will not be able to understand the reality of things. And the transcendental knowledge will help us to understand that the reason why these material universes are there, the Lord is not playing some kind of game. He's bored, he doesn't know what to do. He creates these universes so that we get an opportunity to make progress. We get an opportunity to actually make progress on the way back home. And when we find ourselves in a human body, then we understood that we're in a most privileged position. We're at a juncture. We're not as advanced as the demigods, yet we're not actually in the hellish planets being punished. We're in a position where we can now, with developed consciousness, we can now start to worship the Lord. So in a human body is a very privileged position. We can do that, and we can catch the purpose of human existence, and that is to actually surrender to the Lord, engage in his devotional service, and make progress on our way back home. So he's the cause of everything. Spiritual, which is permanent, and the material, which is temporary, which is for our benefit. He creates a material universe for our benefit, so we can continue to evolve. But he's the source of everything. There's no other source except him. I therefore meditate upon him, Lord Krishna, who is eternally existent in the transcendental abode, which is forever free from the illusory representation of the material world. I meditate upon him, for he is the absolute truth. He's the last word. He's the beginning. He's the end. Every religion has a sense of this. They may use different words, but it's the same thing. He is the supreme. He is the cause of everything. Everything that has got any reality is only got reality or meaning because of him. Very important points that we have to hear many times and surrender to it until it becomes very much fixed in our consciousness. And as I said it in the first statement, we cannot work this out by our imagination and logic and analysis. We can only accept by authority. It's only by authority that this will make sense. No amount of analysis and mental word juggling and mental using our own intellect will help us in this way. Bhagavad Gita also, is the essence of all Vedic knowledge, comprised and in a nice way. Bhagavad Gita is second to Srimad Bhagavatam in as much as giving clarity, of Vedic knowledge. You can try and read all the Vedas and so many Vedas, but if you read Bhagavad Gita, you're going to get the essence of all what the Vedas have to say. And Navi, please keep a track on time because I want to leave time for questions, okay? So in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 4:11, we have so many verses that confirm that the Lord is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He's the source of everything. Everything is emanating from him. So many verses. I just picked one, but there's so many verses. And Bhagavad Gita 4:11, he says, Ye yata mam prapadyante tam steva vajamyaham mama vratat manu vartante manushyaha partha sarvashaha. What does it say? As all surrender to me, I reward them accordingly. Everyone follows my path in all respects. And then Srila Prabhupada, the purport is long, but one little part of the purport is worth us sharing. Everyone is searching for Krishna in his different aspects of his manifestations. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is partially realized in his impersonal Brahma Jyoti effulgence, as the all-pervading super soul dwelling within everyone's heart, including the particles of atoms. But Krishna is fully realized only by the pure devotee. What that means is that everyone, depending on their mentality, depending on their ability, they're searching for something. Those people who only like nature, like to study nature, they're naturalists. They don't realize it is Krishna. Who is the source of nature? Who is the source of the sunset? Who is the source, of that beautiful forest? All the variety of plants. Who is the source of it? Is Krishna. So when they're studying that and they like to be in that environment, they don't understand. Actually, they're associating with Krishna in that form. There are those who actually, they're yogis and they want to actually go to the Brahma Jyoti. They want that peaceful, tranquil atmosphere. They want to go there and they sacrifice so much to go there. And they realize that Brahman realization. What is that Brahman? What is the source of that Brahman realization? It's Krishna. It's Krishna's effulgence. That peace, that tranquility, it's there in that way. The scientists who they just want to know and manipulate the forces of material nature, and now we can do this, and now we can do that, and G5 and whatever other, things that we can use, they're manipulate because who is the energy in the atom that allow these things to do? It's Krishna. He is the source. But for the bhakta, bhaktin, for the devotee, we want to know him personally. We believe in him personally. We worship him as a person because we know he's got personality. We don't just like his energies and his manifestations. We like him as a person because why? We know that he is our master and we are his eternal servants. And therefore, we want to reestablish that relationship where I am in contact with my master and I'm following the instructions of my master. So we always see him as a person. And only in this understanding, only in that relationship can we realize him. So he can only be realized by his pure devotees because we don't just want to enjoy his energies, we want to serve him. And that makes a big difference. We're then able to actually understand him fully, not just partially like all the others, through their systems and through their desires are trying to do. Lord Brahma, again, I've said many times, he's the first created being. He's the most senior, he's the most educated, he's the most advanced. What did he say when he realized who he was? When he realized that when he got his education, what did he say? He didn't just remain silent. He said things. He said in the Brahma Samhita, first of all, let's say a little bit about Brahma. Tene Brahma, Srimad Bhagavatam, Tene Brahma Hridaya Adikavaye. The original creature of the universe, known as Adikavi, or Lord Brahma, was instructed by Lord Krishna through, and he received this knowledge, the Vedic instruction from Lord Krishna himself. So no other medium, directly Lord educated him. Why? Through the heart. He gave him this Vedic knowledge through the heart, directly. So I said he's the most educated, he's the most senior, he's the most advanced. What does the most advanced and senior devotees say about Krishna? He writes in glorification of Lord Krishna, Ishvara Paramaha Krishna, Satchitananda Vigraha, Anaderade Govinda, Sarva Karana Karanam. And what is that saying? Krishna, who is known as Govinda, is a supreme Godhead. He is as an eternal, blissful spiritual body, you know. Can't read all of that. He has no other origin and is the prime cause of all causes. So you have to see it in context, or else it becomes a little confusing. Here is the first created being. He's the most educated. He's the most enlightened. He's going to go on and enlighten all the other devotees, all the other demigods. Whoever the demigods are, they receive knowledge from Lord Brahma, whether it be Indra, Shiva, Surya, Chandra. They all receive knowledge from him. He is the father of educating the devotees. Through the Guru Parampara system, all the knowledge is coming from him. He is a final authority. How do we know he's a final authority? Whenever there's some big demon who comes and is trying to make havoc in the universe, and the devotees, whether it be Indra or whoever, when they are confused and they're at the limit of their ability, they cannot fight these demons. They cannot resist their power. What do? They go to who? Lord Brahma. They go to Lord Brahma and they say, look, we are confused. We don't know. We don't know. We can't stop this demon. He's called Hiranyakashipu. You know, we don't know how to stop him. Please, he's taken away our powers. We are now subservient to him. The order of the universe is now in chaos. What are we going to do? And Lord Brahma, although he's the most educated, what does he do? He does the same thing every time, depending regardless who the demon is. He says, okay, I tell you what, let's go to the Supreme Lord. Let us go to Kshasagar. Let us go to the ocean of milk. Let us do prayers there. Let us please the Lord. And then by pleasing him, he will tell us what to do. It's also very instructive, Guru Maharaj says, when they go to Kshasagar and they're there and they're doing beautiful Purushukta prayers. Purushukta prayers are very beautiful. When they're all singing these Purushukta prayers, the Lord doesn't speak to everybody. No. Whatever he has to say, he says it to Lord Brahma. And then Lord Brahma broadcasts it to the devotees. In every case, it's the same process. So he's the most senior. He's the most intelligent. He's the most qualified. Huh? So he's the one who's speaking. He's saying, I know who he is. In the beginning, I didn't know who I was. Lord Brahma is saying, I didn't know who I was. You read Brahma Samhita, you read Srimad Bhagavatam, you'll see. He didn't know who he was. He didn't know even where he was. But when he became enlightened, then he knew who he was, he knew where he was, and he was told what to do. You do tapasya. You start to worship the Lord. And then when the Lord was satisfied with him, the Lord also came and he presented knowledge to him. In Srimad Bhagavatam, it is said something very wonderful. Little things pleases little mind. So my little mind is always pleased. Whenever I read it, I smile. When the Lord was satisfied with Lord Brahma, the Lord came to him and shook his hand. It always makes me laugh. The Lord comes and shakes Lord Brahma's hand. I'm very pleased with you. I'm satisfied with you. So Lord Brahma, he knows. He's speaking these things. He knows. He's telling us. We cannot second guess this information. We have to accept it on the authority of that person who is head of all the activities in this universe. And each universe has a Lord Brahma. So in this way, Lord Brahma is speaking. He is the cause of all causes. No other cause is there beside him. Huh? So I can go beyond. I can get it's a lot more detail, and I would ask anybody to actually read those stories and actually find out for yourself. Read the Brahma Samhita and find out the beautiful prayers of the Lord. Some of the stories, I'm winding down to stop now. Some of the stories we've already said, but there's one story, I didn't have time to finish this, and I haven't got the slides up, but there's a story of Lord Shiva. So we know Lord Brahma was illusioned and couldn't understand who Lord Krishna was. We know Lord Indra was confused and an illusion couldn't understand. But there's a very important story as well of Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva even went on the battlefield and was fighting with Lord Krishna. Why? For the protection of his devotees. And his devotee was called Banasura. Does anybody know this Leela? Madhusudan Prabhu?
Yeah, Haribol.
Ji Prabhuji, do you know this story?
Banasura.
Yeah, Banasura and Lord Shiva and Lord Krishna, they were fighting. Can you, if you know, just tell what you know. Between us, we'll unravel the story. It was a very important story.
It is when he gets the boon for nobody should be able to kill me, and then whoever puts his hand over his head, then something like that.
No, it's not. The Leelas are getting a little bit mixed up. So Banasura was a devotee who, and as I say, if it comes back, then you catch up.
Go on, you carry on then, because
Okay. It's just the Leelas are getting overlap as they often do. So Banasura was a very, very faithful devotee worshipper of Lord Shiva. And he didn't want to worship Lord Krishna at all. And he was very faithful. And Lord Shiva was very pleased with him. Lord Shiva called him my son, Banasura. Okay? And he was worshiping Lord Shiva, but the Leela goes, and Lord Shiva blessed him with many, many boons. Okay? But he had a very beautiful daughter. And Lord Krishna's son, one of his sons, he married the daughter. But before the marriage took place, they were associating. And then when they were associating, Banasura found out, because he was protecting his daughter like anything. When he found out, he became very angry. And in the course of that fight, the dynasties were fighting. And Lord Shiva went on the battlefield. And he was also fighting on the side of Banasura. So when the fight was taking place, and I think the story is in Krishna book, when the fighting was taking place, Lord Shiva were also on the battlefield fighting with Lord Krishna. Can you imagine the scene? He's fighting with Lord Krishna. And then Lord Krishna, they were discharging all the weapons. And then in the end, it is said, Lord Krishna, he discharged his yawning weapon, and Lord Shiva was just yawning, and then the fighting came to an end. Well, the point I'm trying to say is the point of the illusion. Even the greatest devotees are put into illusion about who Lord Krishna is. There's another story about Lord Shiva being illusioned by Lord Krishna. When Lord Shiva asked Lord Krishna, show me, when Lord Krishna was there with the devotees and the churning of the ocean of milk, a Mohini, that Mohini form. And Lord Shiva heard about this form. And he wanted to see it. So he asked Lord Krishna, show me this form. And when he saw that form, he was devastated by that form. He was captured by that form. He was overwhelmed by that form. So it's not adversity, but the fact that he couldn't understand. And he was actually captivated by that form. So even the greatest personalities will be illusioned in knowing who Lord Krishna is. So we shouldn't beat ourselves up. But what we should do is surrender to the authorities. Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, all the spiritual authorities who are preaching this wonderful transcendental knowledge, take on board what they're saying. Don't try to work it out by own material logic. It's full of flaws. Our material logic has got 4 defects. What are the 4 defects? Can somebody tell us what the 4 defects are? I'm going to bring up another slide. Nabi, bear with me. And
one of them is we got imperfect senses.
Imperfect senses, tendency to cheat, we become illusioned. And then there's one more. Jayanti saying? I thought I heard Jayanti saying. So we say imperfect senses, tendency to cheat.
Propensity to get cheated and cheat.
Yeah, propensity to get cheated. And then there's one more. I've got a slide, but I can't find it right now. But the thing about it is that we, in this transcendental knowledge, those 4 propensities are not there, but we have them. So every time we try to work these things out by ourselves, those 4 propensities, they will be working. We will not be able to do it. We have to surrender to authority and accept it. So I'm saying all this, what I'm saying, to give you encouragement, Priti, and any others who need it. One needs to surrender completely to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, build your faith like that, and slowly, slowly go on like that in the process. And the most important thing to do in the process is to simply chant. The beginning of devotional service is chanting the Maha Mantra. This is the beginning of devotional service. By doing this activity, we are engaging in the most powerful activity, actually, of serving the Lord and engaging. It does many things automatically at once. It purifies the heart, it gets the Lord's attention, and it actually, it does so many things all at one go. This simple little thing. Because it's the Yuga Dharma, it's the remedy for this age. We cannot do anything complicated, but we can do it anywhere, any place, anytime. We can do this just to avoid the offenses. The offenses are to be avoided, the 10 offenses. But if we avoid the 10 offenses, then this simple activity, our faith will be built, our devotional life will have nice foundation, will be there for it, and we'll gradually go on and become stronger and stronger and more comfortable and confident in our realization about Sri Krishna as a Supreme Personality of Godhead. So I'd like to stop here, and I'd like to invite some questions if there are any. Did that help, Priti, in any way? Maybe she's gone.
No, she's there.
Okay.
She might just be busy.
Okay. Okay.
If anybody else has any questions.
Sorry, Hare Krishna. Sorry.
Did that help?
It did help to again remember Krishna's authority in terms of Brahma and other demigods. But I think something that was on my mind, and I think it was there last week as well, it was just how, maybe I didn't formulate it properly, is how do you trust somebody when you don't know them? And we get told we won't know Krishna because of our imperfect senses, or that he's unlimited. And then also when we hear Krishna reciprocates with us, and I feel that happens as well. But then I also believe in what you put out into the world comes back, like, all that vibration, it works to get things done, So, it's difficult. It's difficult to put trust in something when you don't know it fully, when you have to trust it completely. So, yeah, or just love somebody completely without knowing them completely.
Okay. Well, I can tell you now, and maybe I can speak on that next time, because as I said to Nabi, this devotional service, we won't come up with this for some time. It's such a big subject. It's so all-compassing that we'll just take different strands of it. So one strand of it that I can take next week, if Nabi gives permission, is that we can talk about what you just said and show that it's all about a relationship. The devotee advances because of that relationship, and how that relationship is built and how it strengthens. The devotee is not just running along just on blind faith. No, it doesn't work like that. There is a relationship that's been built, and it's evidence. And you speak to anybody who actually is established in spiritual life, it's not only in Krishna consciousness, you will see, they will say to you, no, God is not just a figment of my imagination. I've proven him. He's there. He's done so many things in my life. He's manifesting in my life. I have a relationship with him. And that relationship is what, when you say you're maturing in spiritual life, maturity means that relationship is becoming stronger and stronger. But in the beginning, it may not be very strong. It may be a very loose relationship. But as you go on as a devotee, there's so many things that will be directly, you cannot attribute it to anything else other than the direct mercy of the Lord. And you become more and more convinced in your faith. So I can speak about that next week, and actually structure it in a bit more practical way so that you can actually see. So I'll leave some questions and answers time as well, so we can continue. So if Nabi gives permission, I can do it like that. I can structure the next class like that. So we talk about faith and the building of that relationship, because it is a relationship, it's tangible. And how I know that, just to talk about it, just to give a little hint, the Lord Krishna, when he starts to speak to Arjuna, his whole relationship, his whole language with Arjuna is about relationship. Listen to the language, and I'll say more about it next week. It's all about a relationship. You're my friend. The way he speaks about him is all sweet terms of friendship. And the way Lord Arjun also responds, you can see there's a relationship. It's always built on a relationship. The whole thing takes place on a relationship basis. It's not blind faith. So I can do that. As if Nabi agrees, I can structure.
Absolutely. Next week we've got the Vyas Puja.
Oh yeah, yes. The week after.
The week after, yeah.
That's good. Gives me more time to prepare as
well. And also devotees are welcome to join the Vyas Puja. We'd love you to. Yeah, it's a Guru Purnima festival. Just on Priti's point, it's a very good point that how can we trust somebody who we don't know? The beauty of Lord Krishna is, of course, as you said, it's all about relationships. We've broken that relationship. The onus is on us to re-establish that relationship. And as we take steps towards Krishna to re-establish that relationship, he takes many steps towards us. So if we take one step towards Krishna, it's said that he'll take 10 steps towards us. So definitely, to trust somebody, you do need to know them. And to love somebody, you definitely need to know them. But the beauty, what Prabhupada has done for us is he's given us, like for example, the Krishna book, where it describes Krishna's, what he's like, what his personality is like, what he likes to do, how he relates with his devotees. So when we engage ourselves in trying to understand Krishna, although he's impossible to understand fully, but if we make an effort, he will also come towards us. So we have to invest time, we have to invest faith in this process, and the fruits will definitely be there. It's just a question of time.
So can I just say something?
Yeah,
yeah, when Anant Vijay is emphasizing on relationships, but you got to add one word before that, and that is a loving relationship. Okay. Because all relationships are, have to have some sort of element of love within it, and that loving relationship brings more faith, brings more trust, but forcibly you can't make a relationship, or you can't force somebody to be in a relationship. And we experience that in our daily life, that if we are forced to, make relationships by force, then that it doesn't work. That can become manipulative, that can lead to mistrust, and then that can lead to, emotional and mental and all sorts of problems. So Krishna doesn't force himself on us to say, you got to be, I'm the God here, and you got to behave like my servant. You got to be my servant. No, so Krishna is not a dictator like that. There might be personalities that we may experience in our daily life, and we come across, and the people impose themselves on us, and we go to work, and there's a boss there, and you got to have a relationship with him. I mean, we've all been in situations where we've been so many jobs I've had, and I've had to relate with people I work with. Once I've left that job, none of them have actually ever communicated with me after that. I might think that, they were my friends, but yeah, they're in a friend way, but this relationship that we are cultivating, and the spiritual master encourages us and actually guides us to gradually develop a loving relationship with God, and you got to start from that point. So I hope that helps.
Listen, Babu, it's a good point, but before we can love somebody, do we not need to know them?
Yes, of course. Without knowing that, there are situations where but that's why you have to get to know. It starts in a very passive relationship, isn't it? We can just have a passive relationship, then it becomes an active relationship. In the beginning, we don't know very much about God. We don't know what Krishna likes, or he doesn't like, and that's why with Krishna book and the the spiritual master, we listen to the different kathas, stories, and then we see how other devotees have had relationship with Krishna, and then how Krishna has reciprocated with that. Like, we can think about Bhishma Dev and Arjuna and all these Yasoda Maya, and they all had relationship with Krishna, and how Krishna has reciprocated. So we start to then gradually develop some sort of an understanding, what the position of Krishna is, and then how we can start to relate. We all have a relationship, actually, spiritual. We've forgotten that. And in many ways, that's what the word yoga means, to reunite, re-establish that relationship. But we have forgotten that. So yeah, we will put trust in so many other things, trying to think, and I like that verse in Bhagavad Gita at the beginning where it says, "Hey Krishna, Karuna Sindhu, Dina Bandhu." Dina Bandhu. I mean, I've known in my personal life that there's so many friends I've had, but in the end, they're just friends in a material sense and all that. And then, and the best friend you can ever have is Krishna. I mean, he said, Dina Bandhu, Jagat Pate. And he is a Pati of the whole Jagat. So who better to have than a friend like Krishna? So Arjun was so fortunate. But yeah, it's important to know more, and we have to know more about Krishna, and even to have a relationship with the spiritual master in the beginning, to have trust and faith, because he's the one who's going to actually, rebuild our relationship with Krishna. And obviously it's Radharani as well, and it gets complex. So it's not so straightforward.
It's the faith, isn't it? It's if we have a little bit of faith, we can invest that faith. Just like, if we have a little bit of money, you can invest in the stock market, probably lose it nowadays. But with faith, if we invest a little bit into the spiritual master, as you said,
that's why there's somebody the other day I had a conversation with. They said, well, it's up to you, it's what you believe in. I said, well, there is a question of belief and faith. Belief, you can believe in anything. You can believe that, like Prabhupada gives example, you can believe the fire is cold, and you can carry on believing that, for the rest of your life. But you can be so off the mark and so misinformed, and you can lead your life like that. But to have faith, faith, as soon as you sit on a chair, you have a total faith that the chair is going to take your weight, go 4 legs. You're not going to inspect and question and believe that the chair is not going to do its job. So you have faith, like that. You have to have faith as well.
Good.
Thank you. Thank you for allowing me to comment. I hope that helps.
Yeah. And I must say, Madhusan Prabhu, when we're doing the Bhagavad Gita, like the last few days we have, it's been wonderful to have your contribution and realizations. So we'll hopefully carry on with that tomorrow onwards for at least the next 6 days. So looking forward to that.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
And thank you.
Any other questions from any other?
Not a question, but just something to add. What I found really interesting in the Bhagavad Gita, the number of times Krishna says, a devotee who does this is very dear to me. And the number of times initially when I read the Bhagavad Gita, I probably read 1 chapter at a time and I never realized, but again and again and again and again, Krishna keeps saying that, a devotee like this is very dear to me. And that just shows that there's a relationship going on, because you can only be dear to someone, where there is a relationship. Hare Krishna.
That's a good point, Pitamba. Nice. In the 12th chapter, Krishna says that at least 6 or 7 times.
That's right.
Yo mat bhakta map samay priya. Very nice. So thank you, Babu. What we can do is to do the Nishinga Kavach. Karuna Bandar is with us. And, let me just bring it up. Good.
So I need to stop sharing?
No, it's okay. I think let's have a look. See, we might be able to do it.
Good.
I think we're okay.
Good.
Okay. Thank you very much. Hopefully the screen is showing the
Yes.
Great.
श्री लक्ष्मी नरसिंहदेव की जय, प्रहलाद महाराज की जय, प्रभुपाद की जय, गुरु महाराज की जय। नरसिंह कवचं भक्षे प्रहलादेन दितं पुरा, सर्वरक्षाकरं पुण्यं सर्वोपद्रवनाशनं, सर्वसम्पत्करं चैव स्वर्गमोक्षप्रदायकं, ध्यात्वा नरसिंहं देवेशं हेमसिंहासनस्थितं, विवृतास्यं त्रिनयनं शरदिन्दुशमाप्रभां, लक्ष्म्यालिङ्गितवामाङ्गं विभूतिभिरुपाश्रितं, चतुर्भुजं कोमलाङ्गं स्वर्णकुन्दशोभितं, श्रिया सुशोभितोरस्कं रत्नकेयूरमुद्रितं, तप्तकाञ्चनशङ्काशं पीतनिर्मलवाससं, इन्द्रादिसुरमौलिष्ठा स्मरन्मान्येत्यब्धिः, विराजितपदद्वन्द्वं शङ्खचक्रादिहेतिभिः, गरुत्मता च विनयात् स्तूयमानां मुदान्वितां, त्वरितकमलसंवासं कृत्वा तु कवचं पतेत्, नरसिंहो मे शिरः पातु लोकरक्षात् सम्भव, सर्वगोपीस्तम्भवास फलं मे रक्षतु ध्वनिं, नरसिंहो पातु सोमसूर्यादिलोचन, श्रितं मे पातु नरहरि मुनिवर्यस्तुतिप्रिया, नासं मे सिंहनाशस्तु मुखं लक्ष्मीमुखा प्रिया, सर्वविद्यादिपापातु नरसिंहो रसनां मम, वक्त्रं पाद्विन्दुवदनं सदा प्रह्लादवन्दिता,